For my activity, I decided to make an outdoor bench using cinder blocks and wood beams. I chose it because I wanted to make something functional that I'd actually use, and I thought creating an outdoor space where I could sit down, study, hang out in front of the fire would be a good idea. I originally saw the craft done on a how-to video on YouTube, and through the process I realized that this was a pretty hard craft to do. And mainly because cinder blocks are not easy to carry. I could probably carry one at a time, so it was a difficult task. And the wood beams are kind of awkward to hold and transport. I'd say the hardest steps that I encountered were step 1 and my last step, step 15. Step 1 is when I actually collected all the supplies. I went to Home Depot and I ended up with about 3 carts full of supplies before I left. Everything was really heavy to lift, and moving everything took probably a few hours. I was sweating and I had to transfer everything into my car and then transfer it again back into my backyard. So it took the most time. And step 15 was challenging just because I had to find a pillow that would actually fit the bench perfectly and kind of have like a custom fit pillow. I ordered something and it didn't work out, so I had to return it, and now I have something coming in the mail that will definitely fit. It was another little hiccup in the process. If you wanted to grade down the activity and make it easier, you could use the smaller cinder blocks, which are half the size. Or if you wanted to grade up, originally I wanted to make a sectional, which would require twice the amount of materials and labor. Let's start from the beginning and go through the steps that it took to complete this activity. So step 1 was to collect the supplies at Home Depot. Step 2 was to unload supplies into my backyard. Step 3 was to lay out the plastic tarp and set wood beams on top. Step 4 was to open paint bucket. Step 5 was to dip paint roller into primer and begin painting beams using my dominant hand and letting it dry for 4+ hours. Step 6 was to dip paint roller into paint and begin painting beams using dominant hand and let dry for 4+ hours. Step 7 was to set up and start stacking the blocks in order to make it look like a bench. Step 8 was to grab the glue stick with dominant hand and place into glue gun. Step 9 was to squeeze the glue gun on the correct side of the cinder block and put into position. Step 10 was to pick up another cinder block and place it on the glued side of the cinder block. Step 11 was to repeat step 10 until 2 stacks of 5 cinder blocks are glued together. Step 12, I had to pick up 3 cinder blocks and 1 mini cinder and stack them on 5 cinder block stacks and glue them together horizontally. Step 13 was to pick up the last cinder block and glue it to the back of the stacks that are glued together vertically to create a back support. Let them dry for 24 hours. Then by step 14, I was able to pick up the wood beams using both hands and slide them through the cinder block holes until they were securely placed on either side. Step 15 was to order the pillows and cushions was complete and place them on top of the bench. I felt proud that it was structurally sound and that I had finished and that it was now a functional piece of art. I felt like this craft was a reflection of my social background just because it is a space where I socialize with friends, neighbors, and family. I also play games, I eat, I study, I hang out. It's where I live, so it's a big reflection of myself. I feel like this activity could benefit somebody who is looking to create a warming and welcoming space where they could sit and relax.